My name is Jenny and I created Random Scottish History, a website at rsh.scot. That website aims to compile and put out as much information on Scottish history in Scotland as possible for the people interested. I find this information from books mainly and newspaper resources. They are not new books, they are old books. They are books that I source from varying auction houses online. The specification for the books is that they are pre-20th century publications. I find books published post-20th century are too biased with a British point of view. It doesn't take Scotland as an independent entity, and they see the island as a whole, as all the nations as one. We are one. That was the propaganda spread by the First and Second World Wars. And it tainted the history thereafter. I find there are histories out there from the 20th century that are perfectly sound, but I prefer to aim for the original sources. History for history's sake, you know. I was always into history, but going on the night shift at work meant that I had far more time on my hands, so I took to really getting about London, Victorian London, and classical Greek Roman history, and to that end I wanted to learn ancient Greek, so I did an Open University course. And I did 4 years of an Arts and Humanities course, and just on the cusp of learning the ancient Greek, beginning the studies to that end, the Scottish referendum happened, and I thought I better turn my attention to something that's important and close to home at the moment, and my historical attention was diverted towards Scotland's direction. For a first-time visitor, I would probably suggest heading straight for the scans, the scanned books. That gives you a good idea of what's already been uploaded. There are lots of scanned images throughout the chapters of the books, but that's, I think, more for when you know what you're after a wee bit, or maybe you know you want to read that book. I would aim for the scans as a first-time visitor to the site. But if you're looking for something specific, you can go to the search tab at the top of the website and click the word search in purple. Everything is purple in Random Scottish History, and it will take you to a custom Google search for the site, and you can search for what you like. And if you're not finding what you're looking for, then there's a contact form. Get a hold of me and I will see if I can't research what it is you're looking for. When I started reading the books that I was collecting, I was finding information that I knew people weren't aware of. I hadn't heard talked about it, I hadn't learnt it at school, so I was typing up just bits and pieces that I was finding of interest. I was putting it on Facebook and people were responding really positively to it, and I'm quite confused and surprised, and my friend Bill suggested that I make a Facebook page out of it, so the Random Scottish History Facebook page was created. It was still just snippets. Anything I found interesting I would type up and I'd publish, but it would be published in a JPEG format, so it wasn't searchable. So creating the website was really with a view to making the information searchable for everyone looking for it. And so I began to type up entire books, footnotes, appendixes, everything from books, because I felt like who was I to choose what someone might find interesting or not. Like I say, I'm in night shift employment permanently, so the majority of my work is done at night. The Book of Days I started on January 1st this year, 2019, has made it so that there's a post every single day, and those posts are published at 5 minutes past midnight. The site's updated at 10 minutes past midnight, so that it appears in the menu options as well. And occasionally I'll write an update informing folk of whatever has changed, and the updates tend to be around 6 in the morning-ish. But if you're reading what I'm publishing as I'm publishing it, then you're aware of exactly the same information as I'm aware of. You're taking the same journey as I am in learning about Scotland's history. Because I don't know these things. I don't know what I'll find in a book when I pull it out of the bookshelf. It could have any information in it, and so I'm continually surprised, I'm continually learning, and again, if anyone is reading as I'm publishing, they know exactly what I know, and they're on the same journey. Our education, historical wise, in Scotland is very much British based. It's from a very British bias, but that leads to the information we're receiving as being Henry VIII and his 6 wives, Elizabeth and the Spanish Armada, the 1666 Great Fire of London, while at the same time we're not being taught who was on the throne at the same time as Henry VIII. We're not being taught that the Spanish came to Scotland for help against Elizabeth and that we were considering it. We're not taught about the 1824 Great Fire of Edinburgh, which is far more contemporary and far closer to home. It was just as destructive. I just feel like someone has a duty to shine a light on Scotland's history, because it's been neglected too long. Nobody knows it, and I know this for a fact because of the comments I'm receiving from people saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened," or "I didn't realise people felt that way," or "Oh my God, if that happened, things would be completely different," and it's great. It's been a really positive reception, and that just keeps me going. That keeps me wanting to find out more and putting out more, and satisfying everybody's curiosity as well as my own. The wealth and quality of information that I come across fuels my work, as well as, again, just people's reactions and the reception that a lot of the posts get from folk. That just, why would I not want to continue doing these things? Every so often someone will come to me with the suggestion of a project, or maybe they just have a query, something that they're interested in. The most recent example of that was Mr. David Taylor, who is an author that I was contacted by via Twitter. He was curious about whether it would be easy enough to find correspondence from people, Scotsmen, in favour of the British Union, loyal to Britain, who perhaps had a grievance or saw that there was maybe an issue to be overcome in a bid to make the Union more fair, a more complete, a more united union of people. And I told them I could absolutely do that, and I went to the British Newspaper Archive and began what has ended up being about 2.5 months worth of work that was only just completed yesterday, which was finding articles from 1700 to 1900 that had anything to do with the Treaty of Union and how people felt about it at the time, and about 99% of it is all from people who are in favour of the British Union, who saw issues with it, and it makes for an absolutely fascinating read. The website's updated daily due to Book of Days. The Book of Days is Robert Chambers' production. He was one of those authors that wrote from a particularly English standpoint. Even though he was a Scottish author and historian, he wrote for the English market. So I have uploaded his entire domestic annals, but I have also explained why I'm not going to be uploading the entire Book of Days. It's got far too much England-specific history, and I feel like we've had quite a lot of that just in our general education growing up. I would like to remain Scotland-centric, although I do add the extraneous details from elsewhere worldwide. But it also gives me the chance to do an in other sources section daily, which is bringing articles that have already been published to the site, already uploaded, but it brings them back out and makes them again contemporary to the site, and brings them to people's notice afresh, and people can link to the book from each of those posts as well to find out any more on anything they're particularly interested in. History is continually mirrored in the present. That was the purpose of Mr. Taylor's request for information on the Treaty of Union. With the political upheavals in Britain at the moment, what with the European Union and the questions that's throwing up with regards to the British Union of the countries involved with that. These are questions that have been asked before. These are questions that people have discussed openly before. And the people now they're not aware of that. So we hear all these issues as though it's a fresh take and they've discovered a thing. And then I published a newspaper article from 150 years ago where someone is saying exactly the same thing, and there are all the arguments against it, and it's brilliant. I mean, the Treaty of Union articles have huge relevance at the moment in terms of what's the decisions that are facing Scotland for its future just now, and I feel it's important to know it in order to be able to progress positively with our country. A big issue in 19th century Britain was the issue of centralisation. So the first article of the Treaty of Union makes it very clear that when the countries of Great Britain are being discussed as a whole, they were to be termed as such. They were Great Britain or Britain, or British. But there was a trend amongst many of the English, few even of Scots authority, and they would take to calling Britain or British things England or English, and this became a very contentious issue with the mid-19th century Scots, to the point where by the end of the 19th century they were so fed up they decided to petition Queen Victoria, and they managed to get just over 104,000 signatures on a petition that was entirely cross-partisan, and you could tell that from the signatures on the petition. The petition stretched just over 3/4 of a mile long, and it was delivered down to, it was Lord Balfour of Burleigh. It was quite a thing. It was called the Monster Petition, and we don't know that it ever happened, and it probably still exists somewhere. So I would really like to get a hold of Aberdeen University's set of the Scottish Chronicon they've brought out. I feel like that has some information worth knowing. It's old information too. So it's nice to get as far back as possible with the literature and the original sources. So it was great that they've reproduced it. The last chapter of the Scottish Chronicon is actually published in the Black Book of Paisley, which is what I was looking for when I purchased the Black Book of Taymouth, which is uploaded in the scans on the site. Random Scottish History is a hobby. It's a project. It's a personal project. It's unfunded. I just do it off my own back because it's something that really interests me. It's now something I'm beginning to feel is becoming important. I feel like I'm offering a good resource to people who are set on finding out these things. But it wasn't done with a view to making money from it. However, I do have a side project in publishing John F. Campbell's Popular Tales of the West Highlands, and he's done a sterling job. They're what your Disney stories are or were originally. They are Grimm's stories as the Grimms told the stories. They are gritty. There's violence. There's scenarios that are delicate. I'm interested to see how they're going to come across to a contemporary audience. I'm curious about people's reactions to the stories. I love them, which is why I really wanted to bring them out again. But they're also unillustrated. I can't find any illustrations that go along with these stories. So Alex is going to illustrate the book for me as well, which, I mean, that in itself makes them worthwhile. I feel the pictures already are fantastic. And I've set up a Patreon site to that end, patreon.com/random Scottish History, in which people can subscribe to a tier. You'll see the pictures that Alex is doing as he's finishing them and I'm uploading them. The stories are published on Random Scottish History, and that's with a view to raising the money to publish the books. There is a a $10 tier, which is the most that I allow people to go for. I don't want this to be an expensive endeavour, like for people to support. But the Mormare tier, they have the additional option of a gory edition of the popular tales once we've brought them out, because that's the way my mind goes. I wanted gory pictures. I wanted the blood and the more gritty scenes in picture form. So the lower tiers, I'm quite happy to do family friendly editions, but I wanted an edition for myself, and I thought there's going to be other people like myself that are a little morbidly inclined and want the same thing. So I've put that option out there for folk if they want to take it too. There are contributors to Random Scottish History. It's not just myself. Alex does the illustrations for the page, for some of the contents pages, some of the more text-heavy chapters. Wallace, of course, and Bruce and Mary all got their portraits done for their chapters in the historical works, and so that makes the site more approachable. I feel like just putting out barrages of text makes people turn off a little bit and disengage somewhat. So it's nice to have a bit of colour and pictures there. We also have Tam McCann from the Parkhead History Group. He has contributed 2 articles on two of the necropolises in Glasgow. The City Necropolis up by Glasgow Cathedral and the Eastern Necropolis at Janefield Cemetery, just up the road from where we are in Bridgeton. And we also have Tony, who is a colleague of mine from my work, my employment. He has I'm so appreciative of him doing the title song for our videos. He compiled a wee song. He composed a wee song for us that it gets caught in my head every time I hear it. But I love it. So contributors are more than welcome to the site. David Taylor, I guess, is also a contributor just by dint of proposing the project on the Treaty of Union, because that's given me, I think I've uploaded about 150,000 words just on the Treaty of Union articles that David suggested. So he's also a contributor, and yeah, I just want to get information out there, and I don't mind who suggests a topic. I will certainly, if anyone's interested in anything, then I want to oblige. So. Random Scottish History attended Mardi Gras this year, which was good fun. We all attended in our rainbow unicorn onesies and got in about it, which was it was a good laugh. It was really good. That was off the back as well of the Pride in Scottish History article, which was again British Newspaper Archive research just from the press, and that's a fantastic article as well if you get a minute to read it. But yeah, we attend events. We like to get about and meet folk, and of course people are welcome to the house to view the collection if their interest takes them this way. I would like to thank everybody that's donated anything to Random Scottish History, either financially through the wee subscription page at the end of the website and with the search and contact, or by donating books. I've had some Stoter editions donated to the site. They're just fantastic. Also the odd bottle of whiskey, and you can't go wrong with a wee nip every now and then. So yeah, donations are welcome and appreciated, super appreciated. I appreciate everyone that even just follows the site or takes a minute to read the odd article. It's all of use. It's all useful. Anyone interested in anything to do with Scotland, visit the site, do it.